Hello, my name's Richard Sinclair. You might have seen me skulking about the gym if you go to Muscle Ball Gym. Otherwise, you probably have no idea who I am. And if you're in Muscle Ball Gym, you might have seen me like training and screaming at my elbows or like training a client. So hello. So I put together this free webinar, which is how to grow muscles, the fundamental series. When I train or I'm training clients or I'm in the gym, I look at other people's training. Yes, I look at other people's training. I'm a personal trainer and I do judge. And I just think, oh, if only they knew X, if only they knew Y, their training would be on another planet or they wouldn't get injured. So I really want to like give trainees, gym members, like the knowledge and the skills in a simple to understand way to improve their training, to make gains quicker, and also to prevent injuries. Okay, so this is the fundamentals of muscle growth. Okay, look, I've got glasses. I'm really smart. Okay, so let's go. So I don't know how to use technology because I'm an old man. Here we go. So you'll see me allude back to this a lot. So it's called the newbie gains fallacy, or at least I call it that. So when you are new to training, if you're new to weight training, you've never weight trained before, it is really, really easy to grow muscle. Think of it like this. It's like going to a gun range with a gun and trying to hit a target. But when you are new to weight training, that target is here. And everyone's seen Bugs Bunny, right? And then there was Elmer Fudd, and Elmer Fudd used to have this gun. It was a blunderbuster. So it's one of those old-timey guns with like a horn. It goes up like this. Okay, the target's here, and you're holding a blunderbuster. You can't miss. I mean, you can shoot yourself in the foot. I see that with people's technique, but we'll get onto that. Literally anything works. Like you can do some stuff that kind of feels and look right. And you know what? You're going to grow some muscle because the further away from the genetic potential, the easier it is to get an adaptation. So what happens, and I see this all the time in the gym, all the time, is people go in and do something kind of haphazardly. They don't need a program, they need a coach, you've got nothing to learn. And then they make progress. Oh my God, it's working. And then flatline, plateau. They're never going to like literally not put on like a gram of extra muscle, because the more you train, the further that target gets away from you, and that blunderbuster you're holding isn't going to hit the target. You're going to have to get out the sniper rifle and aim with a little bit more precision. And it's aiming with precision. Precision is what I want to talk about today. Okay, so and a lot of people get lulled into a false sense of security because of the newbie gains phase. It's like, this worked for me, so I just keep doing that. Surely, I'm here to tell you no, and I can't tell you how many people in that gym I know will never make any more gains. Okay, so next. Okay, this is the hierarchy of our importance when it comes to training. So execution, this is what this webinar is about. Execution, how you perform each exercise. And then you've got your recovery, your nutrition, your sleep. We'll get onto that. Be the next webinar. And then training variables, your sets, your reps, your exercises. Okay, so this webinar is about execution, how you perform each rep, each set, each exercise. So here are the 5 elements of execution. And I will tell you why each of these are important. The tempo. This is the speed of which you lift. I cannot tell you how many times. It doesn't matter what gym I go into, how often this gets butchered. Training hard. Okay. Internal focus. Sounds fancy. Really isn't. An obvious one is technique. Okay. Then active range of motion. So you might have heard of range of motion. This is active range of motion. I shall explain all. So tempo. The speed of which you lift matters more than the weight you lift. If you are training for hypertrophy, I know, I let that settle in, okay? How do I explain this? Okay, have you ever played Piggy in the Middle? Everyone's played Piggy in the Middle, right? People play Piggy in the Middle with a hypertrophy training and training stimulus. What I mean is, this will make sense, okay? I'm doing a bicep curl. I know, calm down everyone, that's a massive bicep. I'm doing a bicep curl, right? The way muscle grows, I won't get into the nerd technical stuff, is it doesn't happen all over the muscle. It isn't a switch. It happens through each part of the range of motion. So if I was to grab a dumbbell and do this, and that with all my training, these muscle fibers here would only grow, only these. If I was to go up here and do this, okay, only these muscle fibers here would grow. You need to take that weight through its full range of motion like this, okay? I'm not sure if you've heard of inertia or momentum. You can impart inertia and momentum into a weight. So here's my phone, okay? It weighs, I don't know, 50 kilograms or 50 kilograms, 50 grams, whatever. So right now, weighs 50 kilograms. I'm going to throw it, okay? When I threw that, technically, it didn't weigh anything because it was beating gravity. It was weightless, okay? It had inertia, it had momentum to it, okay? When I go to lift weights, I don't want to do that. I don't want to play piggy in the middle with my muscle fibers. If I do this with my phone, the muscles are experiencing the stimulus. They're experiencing the work. This is why tempo is important, because I'm trying to remove inertia and momentum from it to recruit more high threshold motor units. Oh, check me out. But if you see my point, all right, so if I'm going to do a dumbbell curl, what I could do is just create kinetic energy into it, inertia, and almost just do it as quickly as I can. That means that there is no work being done through this range of motion. Okay, do you understand? Like, so what you would do if you were training diligently and trying to hit that target precisely is you might have seen like tempo prescriptions. So let's say my bicep curl, I'm doing, or leg extension, doesn't matter. 2 seconds up, 1, 2, I'm pausing and squeezing for 2 seconds, 1, 2, I'm coming down for 2 seconds, and I'm 1 second at the bottom. Versus same guy doing a bro tempo. So when I say bro tempo, I mean like, you know, the camera can pick that up, just swinging that fucker around. The person, the individual who can lift 20 kilograms for a controlled tempo has bigger quads and gets a better stimulus than the guy who can do it for 30 kilograms with his bro tempo. It's the leg extension machine. So if you're not you don't go to my gym, ignore this, but there's a leg extension machine. And what especially dudes do this, they load it up way too heavy because everyone's really impressed with how much you can leg extension. And then they kick it up because it's lighter at the bottom. Don't worry about that, we'll get onto that. It's lighter in the bottom and it gets heavier as it goes up. So they kick it up, completely miss all that stimulus, all that muscle fibers, catch at the top, then drop it again. So they're like stimulating this bit. And if you know someone who trains like that and they've made gains, newbie gains, they won't keep progressing. You need to learn to execute good from day one to keep making progress in year 2, 3, 4, 5. So tempo is really important. And there's a bunch of other super nerdy reasons why tempo is important, but I don't want to get into that. Okay. So execution. Are you controlling the tempo? Are you removing inertia from your lifts? And it's stimulus versus ego. We go into the gym for hypertrophy training to create a stimulus, not show off or lift how much weight we can do. Especially young gentlemen are the worst at this. They'll just whack on a bunch of plates and then look like they're having a fit. Like if I'm training my bicep, let's go back to the bicep example. If I'm training my bicep, okay, I'll do this side, my bicep, this is the only joint I need to move, okay? The only joint I should be moving, okay? If I start moving my shoulder and my hips just to get some momentum, bit of body English, that dilutes the stimulus. So if I've got 10 kilograms here, I want 10 kilograms of work on the bicep. Therefore, I only move the elbow. As soon as I start moving other joints, that 10 kilograms becomes 2 kilograms, becomes 1 kilogram. So then the stimulus gets diluted. It's like, and I say this again, you might have to lower the weight and not lift with your ego. And this is a real sign of maturity in the gym, is lowering the weight, controlling the tempo, creating a larger and more efficient stimulus, and better gains. So that's why tempo matters. Okay. All right, train hard. Again, this is one I see get butchered. The closer to technical failure, the more muscle you recruit. So I've got a graph. I like a graph. Most people don't train hard enough. I'm going to say blunt. Like, I grunt, mainly because I'm trying to look tough. No, because I'm taking my reps to failure. Right, so taking an exercise to failure is a lot like looking at pictures of the Grand Canyon online. Like you're never going to get the scope of it unless you go there. Okay, it's never going to cut the mustard. So my advice is with failure, find a very externally supported, safe environment like a machine, okay, and then send it. Like, go, just keep whacking on plates and just take that to failure, like to the point where you have to involuntarily screen. Okay, I with my clients, especially if they're new, within the second week, third week, once they've picked up some skills, and I know it's safe. Okay, they call me the postman because we send that shit. Because unless unless my clients have been to failure, they'll never know what it's like. They're truly like. There's something called the central governor theory, and you're psychologically put on the handbrake way before physiologically. Okay, and you actually you need to. The closer to true failure you train, the more muscle growth you get. Okay, I can't tell you. Oh God, when I think it's the lat pull down, and they just do like a set, and it's like, and they start looking at their phone, and it's just like, no, you not working hard enough. And it's not like a macho, oh, you got to work hard to make gains. It's like the more closer to failure you get, the more muscle recruitment you get. The closer to fatigue, a true fatigue, a muscle gets, the more of it you recruit and the larger stimulus you create. So there is a caveat to this. There's a caveat. Where is it? Go back to that training age I was talking about at the start. If you are new to training, or even the first 2 years, you don't need to go to failure. You really don't. You need to go 1 or 2 reps away from failure. That's fine, because, the target's here, something will work. Even 3 reps. So we quantify this with something called RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. So you do a set and you go, how many more could I have done? If I could only do 2 more, that's an 8. And again, unless you have been to failure, unless you have been there, you do not know. So go to failure at least once. And then there's another methodology, which is train to failure on every set. This is 2 kinds of ways of thinking. It depends. It depends on your training age. Like if I've got a new client, no, they're not trained to failure. They're spending that first year, 6 months, just developing skills because, the target's here. Anything will work. I'm better off developing their skills. I will take them to failure on a few exercises just so they know what it really like that Grand Canyon looks like in real life. Okay, so and then really, are you training hard enough? So are you controlling the tempo? Are you training hard enough? And you don't have to train to failure on every set if you're new to training. And make this super confusing. The more you train to failure, the less sets you have to do. So I've got shit to do. I've got a kid, got a wife, got a business. I like doing this stuff. I don't know why. I'm weird. I haven't got time to spend 2 hours in the gym. Okay, if I can get out quicker and create a bigger stimulus, tell me how. And this is how I do it. Because I have an advanced training age, because I know what failure's like, because I know how to execute, I do 2 hard sets to failure. And then I'm done for that exercise and I move on. And my workouts take like 40 minutes, half an hour, because it's more efficient. A lot of this is an argument for efficiency. So if I had programmed in 6 sets on bench press, you're not taking those all to failure because you're just going to get injured and over fatigued. There's a inverse relationships. The more you go to failure, the less sets you need to do. So if you choose to go to failure, don't do too many sets. If you're looking for some hard and fast rules that aren't any, it's going to have to be you have to be your own scientist. So number 1, tempo. Number 2, train hard. Technique. I can't really teach this online. So your availability to train is 90% of your success. They did the study, they looked at elite athletes, they tried to work out what was the most important variable. They were available to train. Don't get injured. So I can't teach anything online. Don't be silly. What I would do is record myself training, and then I would go to the internet, good old internet. Yeah. And I would go to YouTube and I would go gym. Oh, I'm so old. Gym fails. Okay. Let's go to gym fails. Okay, and just pick a random video and ask yourself, do I? Oh no, let's just find a terrible one. Do I look anything like this? Like he's just gonna, like, he's way too much weight. He's just gonna do his bursitis and his rotator cuff. Why? Okay, like, oh, there we go. You probably deserve that. I don't know. Oh no, there's better ones. Hold on. What's that? What's that terrible? Oh, Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness gym fails. Here we go. Here we go. This is the one. Like, there we go. I see this all the time. Like, you can't. Oh, why? Like, just my point is, like, I could do this all day. Sorry, I'll get back to the point. Just respect technique. Respect there's actually a form to it. Respect that if you are training your elbow joint is the only thing that should be moving. Okay, just don't get injured. Obvious. Anyway, how do I go back to this? Oh God, I'm so old. Here we go. Here we go. My mother would be so proud. Where were we? This is free, by the way, so don't want to hear any complaints. We'll talk about failure, talk about technique. Internal focus. Okay. Oh, look, I've got a study. My mother would be so proud. I'm so smart. Okay. Internal focus. It sounds all fancy. So I'll cut up. If you pause, which has got to do with tempo, and squeeze, you will get 5.5 more gains. There you go. I just gave you 5% increase in your stimulus. Just so what I mean is, because science said so. Elbow, 1, 2, 3. Short is squeeze, 1, 2, 3, and then down. 5.5 extra gains. And that's when you see me write tempo. That's why I would pause and squeeze and actively feel and squeeze the muscle will equal 5.5 more gains, because science. Okay? It's called internal focus. It's a real skill. And again, I'm going to say this, I might have to whisper it. You might have to lower the weight. Yeah, I said it again. Tempo, training hard, squeezing the muscle, using proper technique. You might have to lower the weight. You don't go to the gym to just show off and like lift heavy weights. You go to create a stimulus. This is one of the reasons why. So how not to get injured 101. Understanding active and passive ROM. So I don't know why people do this. I do know why people do this, actually. It's because they've got silly egos. But anyway, they'll just overload a weight and they won't take it through its full range of motion. So bicep curl, let's go back to the bicep. Which arm is it? Okay, this one. I'll do this. They'll just get like, I don't know, a 30 and do this. Okay? I said this before. You take a muscle for its full range of motion to create a large stimulus. If you have to lower the weight to do that, you're better off lowering the weight because you create a larger stimulus. Now, that's full range of motion, okay? Now, to make things extra complicated, this is my active, I'm going to start my active range of motion. That is as far as my brain will allow my muscle to take my shoulder. I can't, if my brain won't take it any further. I can grab my hand and I can pull it further. That's my passive range. Active, pulling it, passive. Okay? In a passive range of motion, it is dangerous. You don't have the same automatic skills to keep a joint stable. I won't go into it. Certain exercises will push you into a passive range. Okay, so jump on your bench press. Okay, forget the weight. You can do it standing up and just do a rep. Okay, how far can I push my shoulders? Because the bench press is coming down vertically, it will push you further into a passive range of motion. And especially, I see long-limbed people always do this. But hold on, Rich. I heard that you have to touch your chest on the bench. I've been working in gyms for like nearly over a decade, and I can't tell you how many people have got bad shoulders or bad this and bad that because they're always working in their passive range of motion. Like, what's more important, that much on a bench or longevity with your shoulder health? Pick one. So what do you do about that extra? Well, that's what we'll get onto that with exercise selection. Leg press. Leg press will push you into a passive range. So you sit on your leg press, you pull your knee to your chest like you do in a rep, and you work within that range, because obviously the leg press will push you into a passive range. Is it worth it? No, it's not. And this is one of the biggest myths. Like, I didn't know this. I only found out about this about 2 years ago, and I was injury prone. Don't have injuries. Neither do my clients. It's a very fundamental principle that people don't understand, and I wish they did, because it would save so many injuries, so much heartache, and they would be able to keep training for longer and better. So work for your full range of motion, but do a pretend rep first, and then work within that pretend rep range. Okay, hope that makes sense. Have I got anything more? Yeah. Yep, I mentioned that. Cool. So the next webinar is going to be about why the bench, so be exercise selection, why the bench won't grow your chest. I know, controversial, fight me. Why squats aren't for everyone. Oh God. And why cables are better than dumbbells for hypertrophy, for growing muscle. If you watch this, you see me in the gym and I'm not with a client. I don't mind if I'm training. Come talk to me. Ask me these questions. Challenge me. If you disagree with what I say, please, I like a bit of healthy debate, but I will back everything I say, okay? And understanding that execution is the fundamental principle of hypertrophy, and if you learn to execute, here we go, control your tempo, like, work hard, come on, or at least know what working hard is, squeeze that muscle, use proper technique, and work within your active range. You'll make gains quicker. You won't get injured. Okay. I mean, I don't know what else to say. There isn't a reason not to do this. But it's a little bit more complicated than people think. I am willing to debate or back any of this a lot more in a lot more granular detail and depth, but I wanted to keep it simple. Okay. So if you want to nerd out with me, please do, because I love that stuff. But I just didn't want to bore you with it. Anyway, we're going to talk about exercise selection next. Okay. Hope this helps. Peace out.